Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny farm. If you want a spring garden that is bursting with color, the work actually starts in fall. So today I'm going to be sharing with you all the bulbs that we have already ordered to get planted this fall. Even though it's still summer, I like to get my bulbs ordered early, so the companies aren't sold out of the varieties that I really love. I'm going to be sharing my favorite spring flowers and my favorite bulb companies that I trust most when I order my bulbs online. Spring in the garden is my absolute favorite. So I plant very heavily every fall for those spring blooms. And I think the reason it is my favorite time of year is because our winters are so long and frozen and gray. And when those first crocus and snowdrops start blooming in late February and early March, it is seriously healing to the soul. And then in March or in April, we often have our daffodils and tulips blooming. And I like the show to continue on into May and June with iris and alliums. So let's take a look at, before we dive into the bulbs that we are going to be planting this fall, let's first take a look at this new border that we started designing last fall and this spring, because it is now filled with shrubs and flowering trees and perennials. So we are able to come in here this fall and just pack it out with spring blooming bulbs. The greenhouse garden and this border that you see running along the side of the picket fence are completely new gardens. So it's going to be fun this fall to come in here and completely pack them out with spring blooming bulbs. But the first thing that we did just this past spring was come in with a flowering tree. This is a crimson cascade weeping peach with beautiful double blooming pink flowers. And over here we have a double flowering peach quince. And then if we walk on down here, we did plant quite a bit of peonies in here this last fall and this past spring. And the rest of these are summer flowering perennials. So if we walk on down here, we do have a lilac and a hellebore that we planted kind of underneath this crabapple tree that flowers in spring. But now that we have our perennials in here, we can come in with alliums that will be backed up against the fence, and any shrub that loses, like that completely dies back to the ground in fall, like let's say peonies. I come in and I will just plant my tulips and daffodils underneath the peonies, and in spring, the tulips and daffodils will come up, they will bloom, and then as they are fading, the peonies will start sending up their shoots and they will cover that yellowing foliage. Okay, we are going to try and sit inside the greenhouse to look at the bulbs that we've ordered. It's warmer in here than it is outside, but at least it's shaded and hopefully we can better see the bulbs that we've ordered. So I do have a couple different companies that I prefer ordering my fall bulbs from every year. I feel like they have the biggest and most beautiful bulbs available. We're just going to look at each company separately and what we've ordered from each of these companies. The first one is Color Blends. I like to plant new tulip and daffodil varieties every fall, so we don't have the same varieties year after year. So I'm always looking for the prettiest and newest varieties, just so we have something new to look forward to every spring. But this year I am repeating the same variety from Color Blends. It is a variety that I had planted for cut flower growth, and every bouquet that had this variety of tulips in it, everybody went nuts over it, and they were like, what kind of tulips are these? Diamond Touch is the tulip blend that we are going to repeat this year. They're all double peony flowering tulips. They usually bloom here in northern Indiana. They bloom mid to end of April. They are gorgeous in bouquets. If you want to grow tulip for cut flower growth, highly recommend this blend of tulips. The next blend of bulbs that we ordered from Color Blends is Hocus Crocus. The past few years, I have been trying to completely fill out our orchard grass with crocus and with very early blooming daffodils that stay a bit shorter, because it gives us that color that we are really craving to see in late February and early March. And it also gives the bees and the pollinators something to forage on after a long winter. And usually in early May, we come and mow down all of those bulbs because they have all faded away. And the last thing that we ordered from Color Blends is Muscari latifolium. Usually they start blooming here in April, They're just one of the sweetest, most cheerful flowers. But I ordered 100 of these bulbs because I would love to do a special project with them here in the greenhouse. The next company that we ordered bulbs from is dutchbulbs.com. This is the other name that they go by. I will often order most of my tulips from them. So the first variety of tulips that we have coming from Dutch Bulbs is Magic Sensation. Isn't that tulip variety gorgeous? It's a newer variety, and I think we are going to be planting these on the west side of the greenhouse in the new flower bed that we created just this spring. The next variety is Malbec Tulip Blend, and this is a mix of double blooming and single blooming varieties, but the color blend is absolutely gorgeous. We're going to be using these in cut flower arrangements. The next variety of tulips is Salmon Impression. I don't know if you guys are on Instagram, but if you follow Jane Margaret Photography, she has these beautiful pink tulips that she has in her raised beds. Every year it is so gorgeous. So I thought if we would have one whole raised bed just filled with this variety of tulips in front of the greenhouse, I think that's going to be very pretty. The next blend of bulbs is going to bring us color in end of May and on into June with its blooms. So this is a mix of alliums and Dutch iris. It's called Summer Nights Bulb Mix. I'm thinking this will look very beautiful up against the picket fence that surrounds the cut flower garden. The next blend of bulbs is supposed to start blooming in March and continue blooming on into May. It's called Wildflower Bulb Mix. Aren't those colors just so fun and cheerful? So we do have a wildflower patch that we just started, and I think we're going to mow that down this fall so the seeds can fall back to the ground. And then I'm just going to come in there and deck that out with bulbs this fall so we can have early spring color in there. So we did order a couple different varieties of lilies that will give us color next summer. We're going to plant them into pots this fall, have them here in the greenhouse, and then next spring we'll plant them out into the garden. But the one variety that we got from Dutch Bulbs is Regal Lily. It's supposed to be an old-time favorite, so it'll be very fun to grow this one in the garden next summer. The next company that we ordered bulbs from for this fall is called Dutch Grown. And I don't have a catalog from them, so I'm just going to have to throw pictures up on the screen. But the first one is Pickwick Crocus, again to have in the orchard. These are supposed to have bigger blooms and they're supposed to be a bit taller, so I'm very excited to have these in the orchard. We did get a couple different varieties of tulips to have for cut flower growth. The first one is Pink Magic Tulips. That soft color of tulips is going to be gorgeous in cut flower arrangements next summer or next spring. And then we have Mystery Dream Tulip. And this looks like another beautiful variety. And the last tulip variety that we got from Dutch Grown is Dancing Passion Tulip. Absolutely love lavender colored tulips. So this is going to be a very fun one to grow for cut flower growth. And two new varieties of daffodils. I love adding new varieties of daffodils every fall that I've never grown before to add to the collection. Daffodils are those flowers that will come back year after year. Unlike tulips, tulips for us here in northern Indiana don't always come back very regularly, but daffodils will, and they will even slowly clump out over the years. So the first one that we got is Petite for Daffodil. In my opinion, it's a very dreamy daffodil. I love just filling a vase full of daffodils in end of March and early April when there's not much else in bloom yet. And the other variety of daffodils that we ordered is called Daffodil Breakout. And this variety is going on the west side of the greenhouse in the new flower bed as well, along with the Magic Sensation tulips. So I think that's going to be a very fun blend of daffodil and tulip blooming in the new flower garden. So the next company that I really enjoy ordering from every fall is John Scheepers or Van Engelen. I believe they're sister companies. But I was very excited to discover that they have American native bulbs. So we ordered a couple different native bulbs to have in the wildflower garden as well. So the first native bulbs that we got, I don't know, is it Camassia? I'm not totally sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but we got 10 bulbs of those to have in the wildflower patch. It is crazy to me that these are native wildflowers and I have never heard of them before until now. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, but this is the next variety that we got. And these again, I'm not sure if I mentioned about the first variety, but these all bloom in May and June. So we got 50 of these bulbs to plant into the wildflower patch. The next native variety that we ordered is sword lily or Jacob's ladder, and we got 100 bulbs to again plant into the wildflower patch. And again, these will be blooming in May and into June. Now, the last variety of bulbs that we ordered from John Scheepers is not a native bulb, but they're lilies. I adore having lilies in the garden. I love having them bloom from late May and having different varieties blooming throughout summer on into August. So we did get the Orion Pet Lily Moon Mix. There's 3 different varieties in this mix. We got 10 bulbs. There is Beijing Moon, Eastern Moon, and Passion Moon. So those pastel colors are just going to be beautiful. I think we're going to plant these again up against the picket fence that surrounds the cut flower garden. So they kind of have support, and it's just the picket fence will give them a beautiful backdrop. Last but definitely not least is Eden Brothers, another one of my favorite companies to order bulbs from. I like ordering spring bulbs, fall bulbs from them, as well as flower seeds. So I actually just placed my order with them yesterday. They currently have a sale going on. It's like if you spend $60, you get 25% off your order. And if you spend $79 or more, you get free shipping plus 25% off on your order. So it's definitely one that I would check into if you guys are looking for fall bulbs to order. But the first tulips that we ordered from them is Etch Salmon tulips. And this is another newer variety to the market. Absolutely gorgeous. There is a peony called Etch Salmon, and they really remind me of that peony. And then we have pink mist tulips. This one was on my wish list last fall already, and they sold out before I got around to ordering. So I'm very excited to add those into the cut flower lineup this year. And ranunculus. Every year I like to order a new variety of ranunculus that I have never grown before. This year we ordered Eternal Bliss mixed ranunculus. Absolutely dreamy mix of ranunculus. And of course, another new variety of daffodils. This one is called Fire Drill Daffodils. Very excited because this is another one that I had on my wish list last fall. And again, they sold out before I got around to ordering it, which is the reason to get your bulbs ordered early so the companies haven't sold out from your favorite varieties yet. And this was the first year that I grew Siberian iris in the garden. We planted them together. It was like the one with variegated leaves, and then they had purple flowers that smelled like grapes. So I was very excited to discover that Eden Brothers has a couple different varieties of Siberian iris. So we have Miss Apple Siberian iris that we're going to be planting this fall, and Black Joker Siberian iris. And then we have 4 different varieties of the bearded iris that we ordered from Eden Brothers as well. The first one is called Irish Beauty. We have 2 of each of these coming. The next one is called Magical. Then we have Raven Girl, and then Starring. So we have a lot of bulbs to get planted together this fall. I'm not totally done with my fall bulb order, but these are just the main ones I wanted to get ordered now before the companies sell out of them. When these bulbs arrive this fall, I'm going to bring you guys along to share where all of these bulbs are going to be planted into the garden and kind of the design and layout plan for them. And then in spring, we're together going to be able to enjoy all of those blooms that we plant into the garden this fall. But I would love to hear from you guys, like what are you planting into your garden this fall for spring blooms? And if you have a favorite company that you like to order bulbs from that I didn't mention, drop it in the comments. We would all love to hear about it. Well, friends, I hope this has been inspiring and gets you excited to get your fall bulbs ordered. Have an amazing week in your own gardens, and I will see you right back here real soon. Bye.